Hello all, I am Sahel Khan, Assistant Professor of Lakshmichand Golwala College. Now, I'm going to take session on SQL, that is Structured Query Language. Now, before understand what is SQL, we are going to understand what do you mean by database, okay? Or what do you mean by database? Okay, so everywhere, whenever you go or whenever you see, everywhere nowadays, everyone is talking about a data. So what is data? It is nothing but it is the information. Okay, data is nothing but the information. So in every business, any field you want to do, you want to create a database, you are creating anything, any website, any application is there, so you required the data, that is the information. Okay, and that data we have nowadays, data is in demand, so it is in demand, so we have large quantity, you can say we have a big data, large amount of data. So for storing the data, we have the database. Okay, database is nothing but it is an application is there which is used to store the data. Okay, so for storing, after you will store the data into the database, then you require one tool to manage the database. Yes, because you have now created the data. After creating the data, maybe you need to change the data in future if you will require. Maybe you can update the data. Maybe you can insert more records. Okay, so number of changes are there. You want to retrieve the data. So for that, we have one tool, that is DBMS. That is data. DB is database, M is management, S is system. That is database management system. For managing the database, we have database management system. Okay. Now, next, by using this database management system, what we can do, we can provide the services to the different user that we have. Okay, now here in app, this is one application, here one user is there, here one web browser is there. Okay, so this all website is going to collect the data, user will use the data, user will collect the data on a website. It is also going to collect the data whenever you go visit any site, you are filling a form, then your information is goes to the database, it will store there. Yes, so this is at the at that site, it is managed by the DBMS. Okay, so DBMS is nothing but it is a database management system. Okay, tool is there. So similarly, one tool that is database management system we have, that is SQL, Structured Query Language. So why it is structured query language? Why we call them? Because basically in SQL, every data is going to store in the form of table. Okay, and that table format, it is nothing but it is a format of that tabular format. It is a structured format. That means your data is in a structured manner. It is not store like in a one text file or Word document. Word document is there. You have stored in a sequential manner. Okay, so you have stored the data in the form of table. Now you know what is table. Table is nothing but in that you have it is made up of rows and columns. Okay, that is nothing but it is a table. So when you are going to store the data in the form of table, that is a structured data, and the query language. Query language means once you have created the database, after creating a database, you can write the query. Now, why to write a query? First, you are going to create. So for creating, you have to write some commands. Okay, create table. How you will write? That is this SQL language you need to understand. So it is nothing but it is a query language. Every time you have to write the query. You want to retrieve the data. Okay, you want to manipulate the data, you want to change, you want to delete, then you will write some commands. So it is a query based language. Okay, so for that you have to learn SQL. Okay, so again this is comes under the DBMS. It is a database management system. Okay, now next we are going to see, we will take one example. Okay. Next, see here, we have one example here. Here, the students are there. Okay. So this student have their own data. As a student, they have the data as student have the main data is student ID. They have the name. They have the college. Student have class, student have divisions. Okay, this all are what? This all are, you can say, characters or information. Okay, so this information student have, that is nothing but this is the data information. This you can store in the form in a table. Okay. You can store in any Word document, PPT, or any document that you can store. Okay. So if you want this data, that you can store in the form of tables. So once you have stored the data in the form of table, okay, that what you have done, you have the information and you have converted, you have stored that information in the form of tables in the SQL. So for for writing, for storing this data in the SQL, you require some commands. You need to know how to write. What is that query? Everything you need to know. So we are going to learn how you can create a table in the database, how you can manage, how you can delete, how you can update. Okay, so everything we are going to see. Now, next is, we'll see what is SQL. So it is a data manipulation language, as I have already told you, for manipulate, for changing, for altering the data, for deleting, everything you need to know. Okay, you have to do you have to use the next one is, it is a program, it is not a programming language. Okay, so if you don't have a programming background, you are not from the IT department, IT field or any technical field, then also you will learn this language. Okay, the next one is, it is a commands are interpreted by DBMS engines. So as I have told you, it is a query language. So you need to write the commands, and that commands will be interpreted, shown by the DBMS engine. Now next one is, SQL commands can be used as query language within DBMS. Okay. Now next one is, SQL commands can be embedded within programming languages. So the code, the query that you will write, that you can embed into the codes, okay, in your codes, that is programming languages. Now, next one we have what we can do by using SQL. So as I have told you that you can execute queries. Now, what are the queries against the database? So you have created, suppose you have created the database for the students. Okay. And in that, for the students, there are 1,000 students are there. Okay. And now you want to know the students whose location is Mumbai, or whose address is Mumbai. Okay. Now for that, you need to go to that table. If if you are doing manually, then you need to go to the table. If you have to check that. So better is that you can write a query by using the SQL. You just have to write only one line, and in that line there is a condition that you have to display the name of the student whose location is Mumbai. You have to just write that. Okay. And once you have done with that, then you will get the output of as simple as that. So you can execute the query as per your need. You can retrieve the data from the database. You can insert the record. Now, what do you mean by insert? First, you will create the table, okay, as per your requirement. Then you will insert the values into that table. So suppose you have one column in the table is name. Now this you have created. Now after using the insert command, you just have to put the names ABC, or name is SQL, anything, name of the student, okay, that you can store. Okay. So you can update the records, you can delete, you can create new databases. Okay, so in SQL, you can create many number of databases. Okay, so you can create number of DBs. So 1 DB, if you are creating for 1 DB, separate DB for employee, one separate DB for manager, one separate DB for order, product. Okay, so you can create new tables into the database, stored procedure into the database. There is a views are there, and there are permissions. So there are two types of logins are there. For users, there is a different login. For admin, there is a different different login. So admin have more access, user have less access. That permission also you can set into the database management system, that is nothing but into the SQL. Now next what we will do, we're going to see next what are the types of SQL command. Okay, so first basically we have three types of SQL command, that is DDL, DML and DC. So D stands for data. Okay, all is common. Now here you have DMC, definition, manipulation, control. Okay, now first one is DDL, definition, data definition language. So in this there is a first type of command that you are going to define the data. Okay, now suppose you have not yet created any database, anything into the database. Now first you are going to create the database. Okay, so you will write create DB. Okay, so this is the name, this is your DB. DB is stands for the database, or you can write create database, create Z. Okay, so create is command, Z is the name of your database. Okay, So you are defining the database. You are defined by your own. Okay. So at that time you can use this types of commands. Such type of command are comes under the data definition language. Then you have data manipulation language. Manipulation means for changing the data. For that you have commands and the queries. Okay. Now next is data control language. So these are the commands which is used to control a database. Okay, so some control process will be there. So it is including administering privileges and committing data. So this is mostly done by the admin. Okay, who is the main admin of the database, who has actually created this data. Okay, now these are the three basic types of commands. Now here we will move further. Next step is data manipulation language, that is DML. So we will see one by one. So in data manipulation language, you have some SQL commands. Okay. So what are that SQL command? First command is select. Okay. So why we use select? It is used to extract data from the database. Okay, so whenever you want to retrieve the data, extract the data, then you will use select command. Okay, so suppose we will take an example. Example is, here you have one table. Okay, one table is there, and you have created that table, and now you want to see that table. Okay, so for that you will write query like this: select star from the name of the table. Okay, whatever the table name, I will write a table name. As per your table name, you have to specify. Okay, so this is how you have to use a select command. Okay. Now next one is update. Okay, update, it will update the data. Okay, you have written something wrong, or you have store the mobile number of an employee, and then employee change that mobile number. Now what you will do, you can update the mobile number. Okay, now next one is delete command is there. It is used to delete the record from the database. Insert means to insert the values. Okay, to put the values into the database system, into the tables. Now next you have create databases. Okay, so it is used to create new database, alter database. So again, this two will comes under your DDL. Okay, this is create, alter, create table, alter table, drop, create index, drop index. This all comes under the DDL. Okay, and these are the DML. Manipulation, you are changing that. And if you're defining anything, so if you're here, this command, create table. So here you are creating the table. That means defining a table. So this is a DDL command you will. So these are the DDL command. Create table, you will use to create the table. Alter table, modifies the table. Drop table, for deleting a table. Whenever you want to delete that table, which is in not need. Now create index. You can create an index using the search keys, and drop index, you can delete that index. Okay. Now we will see next slide. We are going to see basic SQL table statement. Okay, so how to create a table into the SQL? The first syntax is SQL create table statement is. First you will write create, that is you are going to define the table. So first command is create. Second, compulsorily you are creating the table. Okay, so you will write table. Then name of the table. What is the name of the table? That you have to specify. Okay. Now next is you have to assign a round bracket. Okay. Whatever the table columns are there. So see, this is the table. Okay. And this is the columns of the table. Headings. Main headings columns are there. Okay. So what names are here? That you have to specify into the round brackets. Okay. So create table name, round bracket. First is column number 1, then data type. Then you have column number 2. Then again the data type, column number 3. Then again the data type you have to mention. Okay. Now, now you understand what is column. Okay, name of the column you have to specify. Now next one is data type. Data type, it is nothing but the type of data. It is what? Type of data. Okay. So for storing the data, we have different types. Suppose you have to store the name. Okay. What do you have to store? Name. So whenever you want to store the name, what you can do? So you want to store the name. So for storing the name, we have data type. We have data type varchar. Okay, and then here the length of character that you do. Suppose one name you have to store in that there is 10 characters are there. Okay, 10 number of alphabet, length of the name is 10. So you will specify 10. Okay, so varchar is used, it is a type of data used to store the data. Okay, and which type of data? Where we have words, alphabets. Okay, now next is we will see here 2 or 3 data types. Okay, varchar C or one more. For words, we have varchar data type, and for storing the numbers. Okay, suppose you want to store the numbers, mobile number, IDs are there, Aadhaar card number is there. So if you want to store the numbers, then you can store one data type is there, that is int. Int stands for integer. Okay, integer data type is there that you can store store or you can use for storing the numbers. Okay, now you will specify the columns as per your name. Then you have to close this bracket. This is open bracket. This will close here. Then compulsorily you have to put a semicolon. Semicolon means end of the statement. Okay, and if you will not press the semicolon, and then you have to press the enter. And if you will not press the semicolon, that means it will not accept, it will not come out from the loop, and you will be there in the SQL only. Okay, so come out from the loop, you have to press the enter and you have to type the semicolon. We will see your example. Here it is create table, then table name is persons. Now open bracket, then first column name is person ID. Now ID is there, so ID is a number. So for that they have taken data type as int. Okay, so int data type is integer. For storing the integer, data type is used. Now for next column name is last name. So for that we have used varchar up to 255 character. You can give 10 character, 20 character, 30 character as per your requirement. First name, again first name, it will be in the form of alphabet. So again you can use the data type varchar. Next you have address. Again address words में रहेगा. Okay, so it will be stored in the varchar. Then you have city. You can store varchar. Now note here, one note I want to give. In varchar, if you write, one or two numbers, so it is allowed in varchar. You can write it. It will store that. So this is a simple statement. How you can create a table into the SQL. Okay, so it is very simple and basic. You need to write just create table, name of the table. Okay, and then you have to specify the columns name. Okay. Now next we will move further is SQL insert into statement. Insert into statement means we have created the table. After creating the table, what we will do? We will insert, we will put the values into that table. So for that, we have different command. Okay, so what is that command? What you have to use in that, what you have to write in SQL tool, you will write the insert into statement is used to insert new records into the table. So first command is insert. First command is insert. Compulsorily you have to write insert, then into, then name of the table, then your column 1, column 2, column 3. Then you have to write values, then value 1, value 2, value 3, and then you have to close the bracket and put a semicolon. Now we will apply this on our table. So in our table, we have our table name is person. We have person ID. We have person ID. Then we have last name. We have first name. Okay, so we will insert for 3. So first you will write insert into. Now your table name is person. Now next one is column name. So your column name is person ID, comma, last name, comma, first name. Then close this bracket. Then you will write values. What values you are going to insert? Now first your column name is person ID. So for person ID, I will take 0, 1. Okay, it will be a number. Now next one is last name. So whatever the last name, Suppose I am taking the last name as ABC. Now, you have to write in quotes. Either it can be a single quote or double quote. Now, next one is again. Next one we have to specify the first name. Now, first name you can write SQLP. Okay. So this is the first name. Then you have to put a semicolon. Okay. This is how you have to write down the query. First command you will write insert into person, then the name of the columns, then values. What values in that column? Okay, sequentially you have to mention. This is your first, second, third column. The first and the first column you will write person ID. Last second column you will write name, last name. Third column you have to write first name. Okay, so this is how you have to insert the record into the database. Okay. Now we have another type or another syntax for inserting the records. Now, it is insert into name of the table and value. So, if you don't specify the column names which we have in previous syntax, then also it is okay. Okay. So, you can directly write insert into table name. Then you will write values, and the values you have to specify. Value 1, value 2, value 3. Depend on your column number. Okay, so let's take of the same example. We will insert the record into the person table. So it will be insert into person table. Then you will write here values directly. Values 0, 1. Now next value 2, last name. Last name we will take as Karan. Now next value is first name. You can take Geeta. Now after that you have to close that open bracket. After closing that open bracket, you have to put a semicolon. Okay, so this is how you can use or you can insert the record into the SQL database. So in this video, we have seen how to create database, what are the basic syntax of creation of the SQL. Then we have seen what are the types of SQL command, DDL, DML, DCL. Then we have seen create table, a basic syntax for that, and we have created one small table. We have seen the syntax. Then after that, how to insert the record into that table we have seen. So that is all for this session. Thank you all for listening me. Have a nice day. Bye.